morning, December 2022, when off-duty Fulton County Deputy James Thomas Jr. repeatedly approached him in the deputy's personal car on Bolton Road in northwest Atlanta.
I was afraid.
Were you afraid for your life?
I was afraid for my life.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony Two Times, and I'm back with another episode of Hood Tales. In this video, let's take it to Atlanta, Georgia, to discuss how a strange encounter and alleged unwanted advances between an off-duty deputy and a civilian turned fatal. But before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. Also, this video is sponsored by me, Mrs. Tony Two Times, and my YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out. Look out for the link to it in the comments. Stay tuned until the end to hear the full story. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. In December 2022, a fatal encounter on a quiet Atlanta road would not only end the life of a young sheriff's deputy, but also spark one of the most controversial trials in Fulton County's recent history. This is the story of Deputy James Thomas and the man who would stand accused of taking his life, 26-year-old Alton Oliver. It all began in the early morning hours of December 29th, 2022, on Bolton Road in northwest Atlanta. James Thomas had finished his shift the night before. The 24-year-old deputy was off duty, driving his personal car on his day off. Where he was headed and why he was on Bolton Road that morning has never been fully explained. Meanwhile, just a short distance away, another young man was making his way home. Alton Oliver had just gotten off work. A co-worker gave him a ride and dropped him off near Bolton Road so he could walk the rest of the way home. Two men, strangers from completely different worlds, were about to cross paths in a way that would end in tragedy. At around 4:30 a.m. on December 29th, 2022, Atlanta police received reports of a car accident and possible shots fired near the intersection of Bolton Road and Peyton Road. When officers arrived, they found 24-year-old James Thomas, a newly hired Fulton County Sheriff's deputy, slumped in the driver's seat of his crashed car. He had been shot and was pronounced gone at the scene. Investigators quickly determined that this was not just a tragic accident, it was a homicide. James Thomas was described as the kind of person people gravitated toward. Originally from Mississippi, he was funny, bubbly, and always quick with a joke. His friends said he lit up every room he entered. Law enforcement was his dream. After working with the Milledgeville Police Department, he joined the Fulton County Sheriff's Office in August 2022. The Fulton County Sheriff personally recruited him, describing James as the life of the party and a young man full of energy who loved his work. At just 24 years old, his career was just beginning. Atlanta police launched an immediate investigation. 4 days later, detectives tracked down their suspect. Using dashcam footage from nearby truck drivers and surveillance cameras in the city's Connect Atlanta system, they identified Alton Oliver. He was arrested during a traffic stop at his workplace and charged in connection to James Thomas' slaying. According to initial reports, police believe the two men got into some sort of altercation or argument that escalated resulting in James losing his life. To the public, it seemed straightforward. A promising young deputy's life was taken by a stranger. But the courtroom would tell a far more complicated story. When the trial began in August 2025, both sides agreed on one thing. James Thomas approached Alton more than once that morning in December 2022. But what happened during those encounters and why was hotly debated. According to testimony given during the trial, on that fateful December morning, Alton Oliver was just walking along Bolton Road. That's when he noticed a car pull up beside him. Inside was Deputy James Thomas, though Alton didn't know who he was at the time. According to Alton, James allegedly rolled down the window and tried to get his attention and offered him a ride along with explicit, unwanted, intimate propositions. Alton said no and kept walking. But then the car came back a second time. This time, Alton claimed James's approach was even bolder. Again, he brushed it off and continued walking. When the car returned a third time, Alton later claimed that it came toward him faster, headlights off, closing the distance. At that moment, Alton said he panicked. He believed he was being targeted, cornered, and that his life was in danger. He pulled out his weapon he carried on his waistband and fired 2 shots into the car that was 40 feet away. The shots rang out just as another vehicle, a van, was passing by. The driver later told police he saw James's car swerving erratically right before he heard the shots. Moments later, the deputy's car collided with another vehicle and came to a stop. Prosecutors told the jury this was a simple case of malice intent. They argued that Alton overreacted, firing his weapon when there was no real threat. The defense, however, painted a starkly different picture. They argued Alton was preyed upon by a man, an off-duty deputy, who initiated 3 separate unwanted encounters with someone who was simply walking home.
He was surveilling my clients. He was harassing my clients. He was soliciting my clients. The only person at the time those shots were fired who was violating the law was Mr. Thomas.
When Alton took the stand in a rare and risky move, his voice shook as he recounted the fear he felt when James allegedly circled back again and again. He testified that James told him to get in, let me give you a ride, and offered to perform an intimate act. He declined each time. He later testified saying, as he got closer, I got spooked. I pulled my firearm from my waistband and I fired it in his direction.
He comes back with his headlights off. He blurs out saying, get in, let me give you a ride. Get close. I get spooked. I pull my firearm from my waistband and I point it in a direction.
The prosecution attempted to poke holes in his story because when Alton initially spoke with police, he never mentioned the unwanted advances. His reasonings was because he was still in shock and that he didn't want to say too much without a lawyer present. They also questioned why he left the scene, and he stated he just wanted to go home and he was not aware that he had actually harmed anyone or taken a life.
Didn't you tell the detectives that you knew it was wrong to leave the scene?
I knew it was wrong to leave the scene, but I didn't leave the scene as far as trying to run or hide or anything. I just went home. I was focused on getting home. I didn't know the person had died. I said that to you already. I didn't know the person had died. I did not know if I had hit the person, nor harmed the person.
The jury deliberated for 9 hours. Then, on August 15th, 2025, the verdict was read. In a tense moment, the judge accidentally announced Alton Oliver was guilty of all charges.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty as to all 6 counts of the bill of indictment. Sheriff, will you please hand this to State's counsel?
Before quickly correcting himself.
And pass it over to... Didn't I say not? No. Sorry. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty on all 6 counts. Nope.
Sit down.
I apologize for my mispronunciation.
Alton was acquitted of all charges. He broke down in relief, hugging his attorneys. For Alton, the verdict meant freedom, but for James's family, it meant devastation. They had lost their son, their brother, their loved one, and now no one would face punishment for his slaying. James's friends remember him as a young man with big dreams, someone who loved to laugh, who wanted nothing more than to serve his community. His loss is still deeply felt. May James continue to rest in peace. My belated condolences to his family and friends. This case is heartbreaking no matter how you look at it. On one side, you have a deputy who never made it home, a man with a family who believed in his potential and his goodness. On the other, you have a civilian who says he was cornered, frightened, and forced to make a split-second decision. The jury ultimately sided with Alton, or at least believed the evidence wasn't strong enough to convict him. But the questions left behind are heavy. What really happened during those encounters? Was Alton's fear justified? 2 lives intersected for only a few moments that morning, but the impact will last forever. Fam, what are your thoughts on this story? What do you think? Did the jury get this one right, or was justice left undone? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, consider liking and sharing. Subscribe for more stories like this and for the stories behind the headlines, because behind them all are lives forever changed. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times. Until next time.